And Sam, you've been commentating on Wycombe throughout the season. Your thoughts on today? Can they do it?
It's going to be really tough. Peterborough are a very good side towards the top end of League One. They're so good going forward, Peterborough. Threats from all areas, and Wycombe have got to be wary of that. But they've got a really good recent record over the Posh, so that bodes well going into this game. But Luke was touching on the stories there. The big one for me, I think, is with West Ham loanee Freddie Potts, who was at Wembley last year for the Championship playoff final, cheering on his brother Dan Potts as he helped Luton to promotion to the Premier League. And Freddie Potts will feel like he's come full circle because now his family are going to be supporting him at Wembley, playing for Wycombe this afternoon. So just stories like that are really nice going into games like this.
As we mentioned this earlier in the programme, there's hundreds of Spanish Wycombe Wanderers fans that are going to be there today. So a group of people wrote to every single team in England and said, why should we support you? Only 3 clubs responded. Wycombe responded in Spanish. So they're all going to be there today. It's so random, but hundreds of people from Spain following Wycombe Wanderers today. What a story that is.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it, Justin? Absolutely phenomenal. So what they do, they pick one game every single year. So last season they went to the very last game of last season at Portsmouth and were in the away end, and it turned into a carnival atmosphere in the away end at Fratton Park. It was superb. And funny enough, they'd actually selected this weekend anyway, regardless of the fact that Wycombe are going to Wembley today. They picked this weekend. Wycombe did have a home game against Derby, and they've had to reschedule their flights and accommodation and everything because obviously the game got pushed back a day because they're playing today in the EFL Trophy Final. So it just happened to be they picked this weekend, and it just so happens to be that Wycombe are at Wembley. It's phenomenal. It really is.
The whole game, as I said, live on 3 County Sport this afternoon. It's a cracking atmosphere already. Alongside me is Sam Avery, who's had the joy of watching Wycombe all season. And just on the season, Sam, it's been up and down, really, hasn't it? There have been some very good moments and some quite difficult moments for Matt Bloomfield, the team, and the fans as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at one point this season, the one shining light was their run in the EFL Trophy. You know, when you think back to winter, when you think back to November, December time, when they went on what was it 11, 12 game unbeaten run in the league without a win. It looked really troublesome for Wycombe. They started tumbling down towards the relegation zone in League One. The only games they were winning were in the EFL Trophy, but they kept that run going, took each round as it came, and suddenly they find themselves here at Wembley. Wonderful occasion, wonderful spectacle to face Peterborough for a chance to lift the EFL Trophy.
To talk about that great run as well, I was reading one of these stats that we were given. Wycombe have won all 7 of their matches in the Bristol Street Motors competition this season and could become just the 6th team in history to lift the trophy while also winning 100% of their games, and that just proves how important this run's been for them. And in some ways it's almost, as you say, seen them through that difficult period. And the difficult period I'm talking about for Matt Bloomfield was around Christmas time, when they were flirting with relegation. There were moments when me and you had conversations and we were saying, actually, this isn't just they're heading towards relegation, they're starting to be in a relegation battle. Now, it didn't last long. No. That bad period didn't actually last long, which I think is testament to what Matt Bloomfield did. He realised he had to change things as well. But as you say, this competition has run alongside that, and I think it's helped, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, the other thing as well, when you mentioned the fact that they were tumbling towards relegation, the good thing was they'd started this season quite well. I think at the start of their 12-game run without a win, I think they're about 7th. So they'd started quite well, and then they tumbled all the way down towards the relegation zone. But as you say, they'd kept on ticking over in the EFL Trophy. It just kept on giving them that little lift that they needed when they'd lost a game. They had a midweek one. They beat Fulham under 21s. They beat AFC Wimbledon during that run of games as well. So it got them all the way up to, I think, nearly the quarter-finals in this competition. So just kept ticking over, kept that positivity when things were looking rather bleak in the league.
Sam, you're a professional. You're a BBC professional, and you cover football. You commentated for, I think, probably all our sides in your time at 3 Counties. But you followed Wycombe for a long time, and you've commentated on Wycombe probably more than anyone else. Taking aside the Sam Avery commentator, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, quite nervous. Not as nervous as I thought I'd be, actually. I woke up this morning quite nervous, but now I've got here, I'm just trying to enjoy the occasion.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as a broadcaster, you get very few moments like this. This is my first trip to Wembley as media in the broadcast, you know, in the press area. I've been here as a fan a few times watching Wycombe, but for the first time here in the press area, commentating on a game at the home of English football. I think I'm just trying to enjoy the occasion, but I think once we get to the final 5 or 10 minutes and it's very tight and it's very cagey and one goal could win it, I think then the nerves might seep in.
Who knows what can happen. And just briefly, we're going to talk throughout the next kind of hour and 20 minutes as we build up to that 4:30 kickoff. There's not much in it between these two sides, is there? I mean, you wouldn't say either one of these sides is favourite. I mean, league position would go to Peterborough, wouldn't it? But form this season would go to Wycombe with regards to the times that they played each other.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, Peterborough are going very well in League One as of until yesterday when Bolton scored twice. They were the top scorers in League One. They're so good going forward, Peterborough. But as you mentioned, recent form between the sides would actually suggest that Wycombe might be favourites. They're unbeaten in their last 5 meetings with Peterborough, so you know that bodes well going into this game. Both managers have picked up on that in their sort of pre-match interviews, and both have said that counts for nothing. You know, this is it's a one-off game. It's a final. It's at a different stadium, a neutral venue. It counts for absolutely nothing, and it doesn't really. But as you say, Wycombe have a good recent record against Peterborough, and they'll hope that comes to fruition this afternoon.
First game at Wembley as a manager, so he wants to put his strongest 11 out.
And he's got to do that. Let's find out what that strongest 11 is. Sam, what's the lineup?
So it's 6 changes from the side that drew against Blackpool on Easter Monday. Not too surprising because there were a few rotations in that side. So Franco Ravizoli continues in goal. It's a back 4 of Luke Leahy, Nigel Lonvite, Chris Farino and Jack Grimmer. Josh Scowen captains the side in midfield with Matt Butcher and Freddie Potts, while Kieran Sadlier and Gareth McCleary, who starts, are either side of Richard Kone. What a story for Richard Kone. He starts at Wembley just a few months on from playing non-league football at Step 5. On the bench for Wycombe, Max Strayek, Ryan Tafazoli, David Wheeler, Sam Vokes, Joe Lowe, Dale Taylor and Jason McCarthy. 6 changes from Easter Monday.
Right, let's digest this. First and foremost, the thing that stands out to me more than anything else is what a bench. What a bench that is. I mean, that's a really impressive bench. I know that's a ridiculous place to start, but that's the first thing that I saw. Going back to the team, a couple of surprises there, Sam, do you think?
Yes.
Defensively?
Yeah, I'm surprised by the 2 centre-backs. I'll have to double-check this. I'm pretty sure Nigel Lonvite can, and in fact, I'm certain, Nigel Lonvite and Chris Farino have not started at centre-back before. So to throw them in at centre-back together in a game like this is quite a bold move from Matt Bloomfield. I mean, it's only Farino's 2nd start since early January, and Lonvite signed after that. So they've definitely never played at centre-back together. Nigel Lonvite missed the game on Easter Monday. He was rested, comes back into the side. He's played very well recently, and Farino is very quick. He's gone for nimble, quicker centre-backs. Tafazoli and Lowe are bigger frames. Peterborough very quick up front. That might be the thinking behind it.
I'm really pleased for him because I really love stories like that. Players from coming from non-league to professional through hard work and determination, and it's an amazing story.
Sam, he scored his debut goal for Wycombe in this competition, didn't he?
He did, yeah, on his debut against
West Ham?
West Ham under 21s, yeah, back in January.
By the way, I'm amazed. Sam knows what my memory's like, so how I remember that, I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, his debut goal for Wycombe in this competition. He is 10 games without a goal, Richard Kone. I mean, you don't want to put too much pressure on him. He's only just stepped into professional football, but what a time to break that duck, today, if he was to. And yeah, his only other goal came in a 2-2 draw against Fleetwood in the league. But really interesting to see that he starts today. Obviously, they're without Berily Labala. I think he'd have been a certainty to start, but he's cup tied.
Yep.
So it was always going to be one of either Richard Kone or Sam Vokes, and he's gone with youth over experience.
And Josh as well. Josh starting, just going in the centre there, really useful.
Yeah, crucial. I think Matt Bloomfield hinted that he probably would be okay. He came off against Blackpool last week, precautionary more than anything.
Yep.
It was a block tackle. Surprised that McCleary's starting. Bloomfield remained a little bit coy over McCleary in the weeks. Sort of said he was touch and go. I mean, he said that he'd only resumed light training last week, so how much he actually plays, I'd assume he can't play the 90 minutes. But he's thrown him in from the start, which is interesting.
He's gone with athleticism throughout the whole team. So that's probably why he's gone with him, but would be an incredible story as well.
So the other thing that's really interesting about this, Richard Kone's first league start against Peterborough. back in February when Wycombe won by 5-2, and at the time it was a curveball. I remember saying to you pre-match, I was really surprised that he's thrown Richard Coney his first start, threw a bit of a curveball, and he's done it again this afternoon, because he's not started too many recently, Richard Coney, but he starts this afternoon.
Although this season is a season that's not going to give them anything with regards to, they're in no danger of going down, they're not going to make the playoffs, he's still got to be professional and focus on the league. But now his attention has turned. Oh yeah. I mean, look, it's difficult, isn't it? Because he's been involved in playoff games and playoff semi-finals and finals, and it's different because you seamlessly go from the semi-final into the final during a playoff campaign. But he's had to focus on the league, because league form's important, but also at the time of Wycombe beating Bradford in the semi-final, they weren't out of the woods. They were still in that sort of mix of cluster of sides that were just outside the relegation zone, so they had to pick up points. It was an odd situation, that, wasn't it, to be in?
Yeah, it really was. And there was always the danger that they may focus on the EFL Trophy Final too much, not pick up too many points in the league. They could be coming here today, okay, brilliant, they're in a final, but they could be in the relegation zone and having, fighting for League One survival, but they're not. They've pushed themselves up to mid-table, 13 points picked up from the semi-final to now, and it means that they can just relax and focus on the final. He's done a brilliant job over the last few weeks in making sure that happens.
Sam, what about the kit today? Obviously, we were having a bit of a joke with one of our colleagues. He's here doing some bits and pieces for this final, who doesn't have a huge amount of football knowledge, and we just said, yeah, it's fine. Just speak to the ones in the blue, which was a bit of a wind up. They're playing in green, is that right? Yeah,
they're playing in green and white. So funny enough, they adopted this kit this season because it's 30 years on from when they were first promoted to the Football League back in 1993. The first game in the Football League, they were away from home at Carlisle, so that's to wear their chain strip, which was the green and white stripes. 30 years on, they've adopted this away strip this season, and it's led them to an EFL Trophy Final, and they happen to be wearing this strip in the EFL Trophy Final. It's another wonderful story.
I love all these.
It's another wonderful story.
I love all these little stories.
And you've got Keith Ryan, who spoke to Miles Blumsom on Friday night. We caught up with him before the game as well.
You bumped into him, didn't you?
We bumped into him. Yeah, we were walking along trying to find fans to speak to, and Keith Ryan was just there. And I know him because he does coaching at Flackwell Heath quite locally. I had a chat to him, and he was part of that side that wore this kit in 1993. So he loves the fact that they're wearing it today at Wembley, and it's another wonderful story. Just cast your mind back to where Wycombe have come from and how far they've come over the last 30 years.
Who was here, Nick? Who was here that played with you in that final with no fans? Just trying to think.
Jack Grimmer was there.
Yes.
And I want to say that could be it. Oh, David Wheeler and Jack Grimmer were the only.
Is that it?
Were the only two, yeah. So
it's incredible, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Turnaround. I mean, we've talked about this with regards to the turnaround of players, and it's really interesting, that turnaround in players, because it doesn't seem like there's been that quantity of players gone.
No, not at all. The only other one I thought was because Jason McCarthy was really funny because he was on loan.
He was on loan,
but his loan terminated during the time of the pandemic, so he couldn't play in the playoff games, even though he was technically on loan from Mills. I thought that might be a third one, but he didn't play, did he? The turnover of players, and most of them have been over the course of this season. You think about the turnover from last season to this season as Matt Bloomfield prepared for his first full season in charge. I mean, Nick, you were one of the players who left over the summer, and I mean, particularly we were chatting about it off air, in the midfield he had to revamp that completely because he lost Nick Freeman, he lost Lewis Wing, Dominic Gape, Curtis Thompson. He's brought in the likes of Freddie Potts, Matt Butcher, Luke Leahy. That's completely revamped the midfield.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Just want to talk about Franco Ravazzoli as well, which I think that's another story to a certain extent, because Franco's come in, he was obviously at MK Dons, he wasn't hugely fancied at MK Dons, and when he left, I think, talking to one or two people involved with it, not involved with the club itself, but fans, they weren't that bothered that Franco Ravazzoli had come. He's been a bit of a revelation. He's done a great job since he's come in.
Yeah, he has. I mean, and again, he wasn't too fancied at Wycombe, really. I mean, Max Drake was the number one. He had been
was absolutely
since the beginning of last season. Franco Ravazzoli was brought in as a number two, and I think he'd probably be, I mean, obviously he wants to, compete for the number one spot, but I think he would probably reluctantly accepted that he was going to be the number two. That came until Max Drake got sent off against Nick Freeman's club Stevenage. Franco Ravazzoli came in because he was suspended, did really well, and now it's Max Drake trying to compete for that number one spot.
and I have to say, you never quite know, gentlemen, how it's going to pan out on a final day, how quickly the fans are going to come in. But I actually think they've come in quite early today. At certain points it's been 5-10 past 4 and fans have still been outside, but it's built really nicely, hasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, it's starting to look pretty full. I mean, it's quite nice on the eye, because Wycombe have pretty much sold the whole of the lower tier, and Peterborough have pretty much sold the whole of the lower and middle tier.
Yep.
So it's going to look pretty much full up to the top tier, which, to be honest, because we've got a little bit of a roof over our heads here in the press area, we can't see the top tier anyway. So to us, it's going to look pretty full.
It really is. At Wembley Stadium, EFL Trophy Final. Sam, talking of players that have maybe got a medal and not been part of it, I mean, just looking at 3 Wycombe players who have won the EFL Trophy: Kieran Sadlier twice, Josh Scowen twice, and David Wheeler.
Yeah, so Josh Scowen won it twice and played a part in the final for both Barnsley and Sunderland. But the stories with David Wheeler and Kieran Sadlier are interesting. So Wheeler has an EFL Trophy winners medal with Portsmouth, but he was recalled from a loan spell by QPR halfway through that season. So despite scoring the winner in their quarter-final, he didn't play after that. So he's got a winners medal and didn't feature in the final. Even worse for Sadlier, who has 2 EFL Trophy winners medals without playing in a final, because he was at Bolton last season, then loaned out to Leyton Orient, played in all of the EFL Trophy games up to, I think, the semi-final, and did the same the season before that as well with Rotherham when they beat Sutton in the final. He transferred to Bolton in the January, so he's been with Wycombe the whole of this season. He's scored quite a few goals in the EFL Trophy, 3 in total, but this time he gets to play in the final.
It's a great atmosphere, isn't it? Really lovely, positive vibe inside Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, it is. And look, this is a competition that gets its criticism, certainly in the group stages, and certainly after they added under-21 sides and added the group stage. But once you get through those games and you get to the knockout rounds, it starts getting exciting. And Peterborough and Wycombe, they wouldn't trade this for anything.
No.
To be here this afternoon in an atmosphere like this in the National Stadium, both will absolutely want to win. Of course they will. They're at Wembley, it's a cup final, and they wouldn't trade this for the world.
The atmosphere as those players come out is just as good, and Matt Bloomfield leads out the Chairboys in green and white, green shorts, green and white stripes, and those green socks. It's their job to take silverware back to Buckinghamshire, and your commentary team for this afternoon on 3 Counties Sport, Nick Freeman and Sam Avery.
Thank you very much, Luke. Strap yourselves in, everybody. EFL Trophy Final action from Wembley. Peterborough United against Wycombe Wanderers. The trophy awaits, silverware awaits. Peterborough 10 years on from winning this competition in 2014, with current manager Darren Ferguson in charge in what was their second spell at the time. He's in his 4th spell now. It's their first Wembley appearance since then. Wycombe Wanderers, for them, their first cup final for more than 30 years. They've had playoff finals since, but you have to go back to 1993 for the last time that Wycombe played in a cup final here at Wembley. A 4-1 victory over Runcorn in the FA Trophy. It's the Chairboys' first ever EFL Trophy final, and they take on a Peterborough United side who have never lost here. 3 wins from 3 for the Posh. Sends it wide to Mason Clark, skips away from Grimmer, who goes to ground. Mason Clark sets it back to Burrows. Chance for Peterborough. Burrows drive, it's in! Ravis only got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. And Harrison Burrows has put Peterborough in front with just over 5 minutes of normal time remaining. As Luke Leahy sends it forward, 2 arms in the air from him, clips it delicately, Vokes the target, flick towards the edge of the box, volleyed at goal and in! What a strike from Dale Taylor off the bench on the score sheet with his first touch as Matt Bloomfield celebrates in front of the Wycombe fans on the near side. They were behind for minutes and Dale Taylor has equalised, his 4th in the EFL Trophy this season. It's 1-1, it's game on. Burrows' delivery into the near post, headed away, back out to Burrows on the far side. He's going to swing it in left-footed again. It's a real up and under to the back post and almost in. It is in. Harrison Burrows has scored from a cross from the far side, which has looped over Ramazoli and into the corner. That's it. It's all over. It's Wembley heartbreak for Wycombe against Peterborough. A flurry of late goals have won it for the Posh. A brace from Harrison Burrows. An unorthodox winner. A shot from a cross which flew over Ramazoli and into the top corner. That came minutes after Dale Taylor had levelled, minutes after Burrows had initially put Peterborough in front. It was cagey up to the final 5 minutes, but it's Peterborough who 10 years on from their last EFL Trophy success have won the EFL Trophy in 2024. It finishes at Wembley. Peterborough United 2, Wycombe Wanderers 1.
Sam, I don't want to have to do this, but you know, Franco Rovazoli's got to get that ball. For me, yeah. I know he's not expecting it, but he's got to be expecting it. For me, there's no way that Burrows went for that. It was a cross. He just got lucky. He absolutely got. There's no way he was going to put that in the top corner for me. And Franco Rovazoli has been beaten, and hit. That moment afterwards, when the ball went to the centre circle, that was probably Franco Rovazoli's loneliest minute of his life. That moment where in his head he knows.
Yeah, I think he does. Look, as a goalkeeper, you don't expect a cross to fly in like that, but you can't get beaten from a cross like that. In a similar way, where goalkeepers shouldn't ever get beaten at the near post. You know, you've got to cover certain areas of the goal. He's technically been beaten from 35, 40 yards out.
Do you know what he reminded me of? I don't know whether either of you remember this, because you're a lot younger than me. David Seaman getting beaten by Ronaldinho. That's what struck. As soon as it happened, that's what I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, I said
that was David Seaman who was beaten. What I'm saying is, he shouldn't be beaten, but it happens.
It does happen. Yeah. I mean, look, in commentary, I think I said it's gone over. It almost went in, and it suddenly. Hang on a minute, it is in. It's one of those where you just. It suddenly takes you by surprise. How on earth is that gone in? Because A, he doesn't mean it. B, you expect the keeper to claim a cross like that, but because it arced, it went right up into the air. You expect it to go over the crossbar, and it suddenly dips. He's got a really interesting technique, Burrows. He really whips the ball in, and I think that caught Rovazoli by surprise. And yes, he should probably get there, but it's a freak goal. It's a freak goal that wins it.
You know, Sam Vokes is a great threat when he comes on, but he's not going to play 90 minutes. And elsewhere, where are the goal threats coming from? Is that an area that he'll look at for next season?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what I would say is that usually I think Verily Labala would start up front, and I think he would have done today had he not been cup tied. You've got to remember Brandon Hanlon's out for the season as well. He'll feel like a new signing next season, I think, for Wycombe.
Good point.
But yes, I completely agree with you on Richard Kone. You can see when you watch him play, he's a good player. He held the ball up, he distributed it really well, and when he gets in front of goal, he will score, but he didn't actually get a chance today.
No.
You know, it's that know-how of being in the right place at the right time, forcing your own luck, forcing the opportunities in and around the penalty area, which he's maybe got to learn. He's a great player, but he will develop over time, and he'll get that knack in front of goal where he can create his own chances.
Difficult afternoon for Wycombe now, and I've been at finals where sides have won, and I've been at finals where sides have lost, and it's a really horrible place to lose a football match. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the worst place to lose a football match, and I think the Wycombe players are now trudging up. Are they trudging up to get a medal? Sam, is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think they're trudging up to probably get a medal. And that's not a nice walk. You want to be walking up those famous Wembley steps to pick up a trophy, but they'll be picking up a runners-up medal this afternoon. Look, terrific run in this competition. You know, to get to the final is an achievement in itself, and it won't feel like that right now. But when they look back at the end of their career, they think, "Wow, I played at Wembley." And a lot of these players may not play at Wembley again. You've got to try and remember this as an occasion, as a brilliant time in your career. Although it won't feel like that now, obviously.
Ultimately, though, for Wycombe, disappointment. What Matt Bloomfield will take from this is an opportunity now for the rest of this season to keep progressing, keep pushing forward, keep developing, and I'd imagine he'll be looking forward to the close season, maybe signing a few more players, getting some back from injury, and pushing on for next season, Sam.
Yeah, I think post-January it's been really promising from Wycombe in terms of performances, in terms of results, and where they are as a club, as a team, progressing and moving in the right direction under Matt Bloomfield. He said so many times, progression isn't linear. They're going to have bumps in the road, they're going to be having good results, and they might dip and hit poor form, but generally over the course of the season, if you work it out as an average, they have got better and better over the course of the campaign, this Wycombe side under Bloomfield. So yeah, they'll take a lot of heart from this run. I think the supporters should go away pleased that, again, it's difficult now because they've just lost a final, but this was the first cup final for Wycombe in over 30 years. They should be proud of that achievement, and I think in time I think they will be.
Burrows the man leading them up those stairs, Sam?
Yeah, Harrison Burrows.
Great story in itself. We've talked about great stories.
It is. Yeah, boyhood posh fan. Was at Wembley as a fan 10 years ago when they won the EFL Trophy, and now he gets to lift it himself 10 years on. And Darren Ferguson was the manager 10 years ago, and back in his fourth spell now, lifting the trophy 10 years on. The story was almost written in one sense, that 10 years on Peterborough would lift it again, and Harrison Burrows, having been a fan, would captain them to victory, and of course, lo and behold, score 2 goals. It's a wonderful story for them. Wycombe players just on the pitch, just watching them walk up the steps and lift the trophy. Good sportsmanship from Wycombe. I'm sure they'll begrudgingly and reluctantly applaud when they lift the trophy. You've got to do that. I think that helps as well when you're feeling down and you're feeling low, as they will do. They've just lost a cup final. You've got to be gracious in defeat, and I'm sure they will be.
What other positives would you guys take from today with regards to maybe the players, the club in general? Sam, first of all, is there any positives that you take from today?
Chris Farino, a big one. He's been out injured. This was only his second start since January. He's had a little while out injured, and Matt Bloomfield talked about him last week and the fact that every time he'd come back he seems to keep picking up a knock, but when he's fit and firing, he's such a good defender, as he showed this afternoon. He was terrific, as you say, Luke, earlier. So I think Farino's a massive positive. I think just generally the experience they can take from this. You learn so much from a defeat, and particularly I think a cup final defeat, as Wycombe have experienced this afternoon. Matt Bloomfield will have learnt loads from today, absolutely heaps, especially with the way that the game was won and lost, with the late goals, the twists and turns at the very end. He'll have learnt loads from this afternoon, and there were some really good individual performances as well. So huge learning curve, wonderful occasion, disappointing result obviously, but looking forward and forgetting, not forgetting it completely, learning from it. Things look promising for Wycombe. Moving forward
for Wycombe, Sam, it wasn't that long ago that Wycombe found themselves in the Championship and to a certain extent held their own. Is that now the aim? Is that always the aim? It's always working towards promotion back to the Championship, and hopefully doing it when there are fans there.
Yeah, certainly if you ask Rob Couig, that's what he'll say, and I think there's reason to believe that. I mean, obviously it's so tough. You look at the size of the clubs in League One. Your Portsmouths, your Derbys, your Boltons, Peterborough themselves have been up and down from Championship to League One, bouncing up and down for quite a long time. To put themselves in that bracket is one thing. To then go above and beyond and beat them and sustain that over a course of a 46-game season and go up is another. So yes, that's what they strive for. That's what they aim for. It's obviously not easy, but as I say, for as long as Rob Couig keeps maintaining that belief that he will make Wycombe a Championship club again, they certainly will be. And look, every team wants success. Every team, while they might take each game as it comes and each season as it comes, and don't necessarily look too long term, you want to win every game. If you win every game, you're going to be promoted. So I think every team strives for promotion, strives to finish as high at the table as possible. Wycombe are no different, and Rob Couig is happy coming out and publicly saying that.